There we go. All right, we are officially back in business.
Official, man. It's been a while. It's been what, 3 weeks, I think, since we've had a joint podcast. I know you've been potting it up a couple times in that 3 weeks, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, that's for sure. I had to kind of podcast on the road too, and I'm trying out this new studio setup here. So I'm just a little bit. I'm doing more of the Anthony style where we're kind of more face to face and less like I'm sitting in a studio, even though it's the same location. So this works better for me. I don't have to move the camera around and stuff as much too. So we are back, and I can't even explain all the crazy changes that have happened. If you guys haven't, I literally just go to the Altura website, alturasociety.com, and log in and just for free use all the stuff in there and really start to understand that we went from like this visualized concept into an actual software tool that, in my opinion, is really going to start to kick Grok and ChatGPT's ass pretty soon in terms of the value we're offering for the money and stuff. You guys don't even have to pay for it. Just join it and give it a shot, and you guys can start to see what we're really trying to achieve with it. And rather than me trying to sit here and explain as much, we're going to kind of talk through what we have today and give you guys the opportunity to check it out on your own. But yeah, I know Anthony, you've been cooking up on the content stuff for a while too, getting that out the door, and now we got Elvin running that side of it. That's been a lot to manage, but yeah, we got back in the marketing business too, I guess.
my printer's going crazy right now. I don't know what that's about. I'm just gonna talk anyways, but yeah, it's pretty much since we've podcasted last, as Caleb said, there's been a lot of effort put into my side's kind of always been tailored towards like the marketing, like how are we gonna get this in front of people and how we're gonna get people involved in what we do. And so one of the efforts we're taking is through content clipping. We originally started with that actually way back when we were operating under the Ascend name. Kind of had people just clipping up our original podcasts. I don't even think those ones were like our numbered series like this is now, but way back in the day. But anyways, yeah, it's been going good. We've been having a lot of people that come in and they find pretty much it's like one of the ways, a quick way to make money that actually works. It just takes a little bit of knowledge in like editing software. And people are coming in, they're clipping up some stock footage or clipping up some footage of us, and they're getting paid out for it, and they're helping us immensely by just putting our brand out there for people to see. So that's a cool campaign we have going on right now.
Yeah, and if you guys want to earn money doing that, or if you want to participate in that way, everything's still through the website. So if you go to our website, you can actually go into the live chat. And obviously, we have the app coming out in the App Store, the Google Play Store soon. That's our next big, win coming out. And we're giving you guys free tokens in our currency to actually just use the platform day to day. So you're literally getting paid to work on yourself. But if you go to the content clipping chat, there should be the link inside of there for you to join our WAP community where you guys can upload clips just like this podcast right here that we'll throw in a file for you. You guys can put it into your editor, create some short form. We actually will provide you guys kind of a brief tutorial of how to do that as well. And then just ask any questions you have, and you can get paid to help us grow and to join this and share this movement. That can also pay you guys at the same time. So yeah, it's crazy how much we're gonna shock the world probably in the next 6 months with everything that we built in the last year and a half. And I'm excited for that. The work is finally gonna be worth the wait, and we're gonna kind of come out of like nowhere, but really we've came from somewhere. Nobody was just paying attention until now. It's gonna kind of be the wake up call. I mean, everyone's doing this, right? Everyone has like an AI, everyone has like a software that they're building, especially now with this like quote unquote bubble. Even Notion has AI, like Google Docs has AI. Your calendar has AI. Your note taking app now has AI. And yet, like, somehow, for some reason, we're not like 10 times as efficient, which is kind of weird. In fact, like, you guys are probably spending more time managing your like tools and your resources and all these different accounts than actually doing the work that AI is supposed to help you. Yeah, welcome to the great, in my opinion, productivity paradox, I guess you'd call it, of 2026 is kind of where we're at and what we're facing nowadays. Yeah, I mean, I have so many. How many apps do you have, or platforms are you logged into that you have an AI that a platform is built? Like, Google Gemini is literally in my browser, right, and I never touch it. And it's just kind of there wasting space in my. And I feel like that's most of us. We're kind of almost getting sick of overwhelming AI, and we'd rather just have it, the one time we need it and not be constantly bombarded. I think the same was kind of true with the internet itself at first.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said, not even by us a million times, but by a lot of people, it's another one of the bubbles that pop up every so often. You know, a new technology gets discovered and it becomes widely used, and people don't really know how to adapt to its capabilities at first, right? So I think that what we're experiencing right now is probably just a period of experimentation almost. People are trying to see to what bounds can we take this technology without overstepping certain boundaries. To what ends is this actually useful versus, like you said, just kind of sitting there, or it's not even really a new concept. It's just a new tool to use instead of, like, for example, you mentioned Google Gemini. Brave has something similar, which I use. I don't know if Safari does. I haven't been on there in a while, but pretty much every search engine now is like using AI to extract the information you're actually looking for instead of having to tap into websites and things like that, which is useful at times. But I mean, there's a lot of instances that we probably couldn't ever figure out if we spent all the time even doing it with how much is out there, in which it's probably just mostly incremental. It's might not amount to anything. It might amount to something. But it's just the time we live in. And, you know, that's just part of, you know, as society discovers new things, I got to figure out how to use it best. So I think probably in the next, that's the thing about AI too, though, is that like it grows in like intelligence exponentially, right? Which is like sort of the problem with AGI, or agentic AI. But at the same time, that also means that this period probably is going to be shorter than like the internet was, or with cars, for example. Like how many cars you think blew up or like crashed into things they didn't have proper braking systems before people figured out, you know, how to actually use those to their advantage. Just gonna be like that, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, too, part of the issue with me is like, it would be fine if, things knew it, if things were integrated, right? Like your calendar doesn't know what your task manager is doing, your notes doesn't know about your deadlines, your AI assistant in like Notion has zero context about like a Slack conversation you had. Or so today, like, I think it's important that we talk about this concept that I guess this productivity software trap, this kind of over expansion, which creates this dilution of your attention. Why the tools that were designed to help you and make you more productive are actually fragmenting your focus and are actually probably a big reason why you're so distracted and your bank account is running dry before you can get off the ground. What do you think is kind of driving this fragmentation though? Like, do you think it's intentional on the company's part, or do you think they mean to have all these different AI tools, or do you think it's just the excitement kind of overstepping its bounds?
Yeah, I think that intentionality probably twists into that. I think it's intentional that they're trying to find new ways for it to be useful. I wouldn't say necessarily that they're intentionally trying to distract us, which was kind of the implication there, I think. But I think it's more like it's an intention to figure out what people will pay for, maybe. I don't know. I think I read something the other day, or I guess I watched a video rather. It was saying something about how a problem that a lot of people have is not like not knowing enough. The problem is actually like you spend too much of your time trying to learn stuff and not enough of it actually applying anything. And I guess like it just made me think of that. This is kind of a similar issue, I think, where it's like maybe the issue of like fragmentation, over fragmentation, the usage of tools that we think at the time are going to be like the next big solution for whatever problem we're facing in our business. You know, ChatGPT was that for a while too. Like it helped with marketing, and then certain brands come out with like AIs that help specifically for marketing. So you go ahead and you get a marketing AI. Something else with email generation, task management, whatever else. And so you start fragmenting all your effort into these different things that are supposed to like make it easier for you. But the issue is that you're spending time trying to figure out how to automate, and it's not actually getting done, like the actual things. And maybe it is, but it's like it's taking too much of your effort to try and figure out how to connect all those things by yourself, or to sync them like on the same page. So I think that's the parallel that comes to mind when you brought that up, was too much time spent thinking, not doing. It's just the same problem over and over, but with their mask on, I think.
I think the big stress gets added to when you guys are like, when most of you guys are starting businesses, not finishing businesses. So you're already in the hole, and now you're having to pay for all these AI tools as well. And I wrote down the numbers here. Like a typical aspiring entrepreneur is probably paying for, I'll go through them, like Notion, right? Premium could be like 20, $25 a month. Calendar, right? A really good AI managed calendar, like we would pay for, would be up to 30 a month, probably at least 10 to $12 a month. Email marketing, right? If you're actually pushing emails out, could be 20 to $50 a month. Canva Pro is 13 a month. Video editing, let's say 20 to 30 a month. Website hosting, probably 15 to $30 a month. Accounting software, $30 a month. Client relationship management software, $20, maybe up to $50 for go high level, or a couple $100. communication tools like Slack, Pro or whatever it is, $15 a month, Google Workspace, AI assistants, now like ChatGPT or Grok or Claude getting thrown on top of that, another $15 or $20 a month. So that's right there, $180 to $250 roughly before you've even made a dollar. And that's monthly. So if it takes you a couple months to build, you're getting drained. And a lot of you guys, right, that start businesses to make money are in a spot where you need money. You're like at a job or you're still in school, right? And every single one of those tools kind of has its own login, its own interface, its own learning curve, and its own AI that doesn't know anything about your business that you have to retrain. So it's like having to babysit another child when you're already trying to take care of 10 and get them to, play T-ball and win a game, basically. It's not going to happen because you're kind of spread all over the place. And you think you're adding, one more kid could actually help out the team, but in reality, you just have to train them and you already have no focus. You're optimizing right now for your potential, right? Your productivity and your power behind your company, but it's not performing because you can't actually give each one the amount of value to get the $20 to $30 a month worth of value that you're paying. So I actually, there's research from the University of California, Irvine, that found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully regain your focus after switching tasks, like to get back into a state of like productivity or flow. So basically half an hour almost between switching between two things. We get from flow to flow. It's not just task switching though, it's actually app switching. So like when you're building a business, you're not switching from like writing a blog post to like checking your email. That's not what I'm talking about. You're switching from Notion to Gmail to Slack, which are all different like environments or ecosystems that you have to like transition into and remember how they all work and stuff, which dilutes your attention. And it could be also your project manager or your calendar. All these things get thrown into the mix and they all have their own notifications. They have their own AI chats. They have their own messages you have to check. So each switch really is not just like a small tab on your desktop like you might be seeing. It's kind of like a complete mental environment change. Think of your caveman mind, right? It's like ripping you out of the woods when you're mid-hunt and throwing you into like a beach environment and then taking you out of there and throwing you into like, the Arctic. And you're like, what's going on? I can't really get accustomed to my environment, let alone go after the same kill I was, chasing. So that's kind of why it doesn't work for you guys. And here's why, again, I think it even makes it more frustrating. That when you work at like let's say a Fortune 500 company, you have what they call like this integrated enterprise stack. You hear that term a lot, right? Enterprise software tools, Salesforce, right? It's a big client relationship management tool, CRM, talks to Slack, for instance, talks to Google Calendar, talks to your project management system. Everything's kind of in this umbrella. So sure, it does help with the problem, but they have an entire IT department making sure that their tools are working together. They have data flowing between their systems automatically. But the solo guy, like Anthony or me, starting out our hustles, you guys are like duct hitting Zapier automations together at like 2 a.m. We'll try to make your Notion database update when you get a new email. Like it's just not what skill that you have, and you're overstepping watching YouTube videos, wasting your time doing shit that's honestly not important instead of going out and making sales happen. You're doing the work of an entire IT department by yourself while actually trying to fill the marketing shoes and the executive shoes and the operations shoes, right, and the delivery of your actual product. So no wonder you guys are failing, and not only that, but putting yourself in financial debt and getting stressed. Do you think that most entrepreneurs that are listening right now or will listen to this probably even know how much they're spending on their tools, until they add it up? What do you think the percentage are of people watching that probably even know roughly what that value is?
Off the top of their head, close to none. I know I don't. I don't even pay for that many.
Yeah, and I probably have like 20 different ones. I actually do know. You're gonna flex here because I actually just pulled up Rocket Money today. Not sponsored, would love to be sponsored, and put up all my bank accounts and kind of got an idea. The reason I did it is because New Year started. I had to go through my deductions and figure out what my tax write-offs were and kind of clean up 2025 moving into 2026. So I looked at all my recent transactions, categorized them, and then kind of went over my budget and stuff. But that's very few people, right? And obviously I had a specific reason to be doing. But do you think there's like, does it feel like solo founders in especially today's corporate world or just world in general are kind of set up to fail from the start? Do you think that's intentional, or do you think that's just how the market evolved?
Once again, so My belief is that most companies that offer something that plays a part in the setup to fail aren't actively thinking, I want it to be harder for somebody that's just starting. I'm sure there's some of that, but I think that those industries are probably more like your vice industries. What I actually think is happening is closer to your second option, which was how the market evolved. And it's more like maybe they understand that by adding this tool, it's not really bringing much value, but it's enough to where they'd pay $10 a month for it. Maybe they understand that that might not be doing a ton for people, but I think that the focus is more like, if I was in their shoes, like how can I, for the least output possible, or for, I guess, the most optimized output possible, get them to still pay for my product? And I think that it's just a conglomerate of companies that think the same. I mean, that's like the concept of capitalism, right? Is we live in a market where there's competition in who can produce the product that people like the most. And if you can produce something that, sounds good, but doesn't necessarily guarantee results, people are willing to pay for the sound of it, especially if it's at an affordable price point. That's like the concept of subscription models, is instead of throwing you this, like for example, go higher level, go on a higher level, another level. They're $100 a month, right? Like 100 something, 180, something like that. And it's extremely complicated to like understand once you get in. There's so many features and stuff that you have to know about. But that sounds way better to say than, what is that? $2,400 almost a year, which you pay in a year, and you may or may not get value out of that if you are dedicated to figuring out how to use that tool. But I think that's just the concept, right? It's more an idea of they've got to make their money, and if it comes down to, like, they don't really care about your success as an entrepreneur. They're not into the game of ensuring your success, in turn helping them succeed. They're in the game of selling you something because that's how they win.
Yeah, it's just it becomes this kind of like, how much can you offer type thing, instead of how good are you solving the problem you're saying you're gonna initially solve. I think like the problem is in the overlap most of the times, right? Like just the example I gave you, I was on Rocket Money, and Rocket Money has an actual feature on it that I can look at transactions and I can categorize them as like write-offs. So it's literally I can do it all in one spot. Then I also have another software called Keeper, which uses AI to like smart detect what transactions are write-offs and do that separately. But Keeper's AI is a little bit better. But technically, Rocket Money then also has the same feature. So I'm paying for two different things, but then, Rocket Money has the same features. It's just kind of clouding my space then when I try to use it for what I need. And all this like overlap between, companies trying to compete in the same industry with similar technology or overexpand using AI just creates too much confusion now when you get on platforms that used to just be really simplistic and do one thing. It's great that you can expand your platform into multiple areas. Then at the same time, make sure that your stuff is talking to each other and you actually have integration. And that way, Rocket Money can plan my budget and at the same time has the functionality to help me file my taxes and stuff like Keeper would do, right? When I paint you a picture, let's say you have like Notion AI, right, that knows your documents. You got ChatGPT, that knows your conversations, your ideas and stuff, but only the ones you've had in ChatGPT. You have Grammarly AI, right, that knows your writing style, but only for the documents that you wrote in apps with Grammarly installed. See the problem there? None of these AIs know your full context, like what's actually the words going through your brain. What is the full story? None of them understand the task that you created last Tuesday is connected to the meeting that you have tomorrow, which is connected to the goal that you set last month. You're not getting like an intelligent assistant. You're getting like 15 assistants who have never met each other coming in the room and saying, let's figure Anthony out. What can we piece together about who he is? Versus the one guy that says, I follow him around everywhere. I know exactly what his life looks like, and I don't need the rest of you. I can stop paying you. That's almost exactly what you're doing. You're just not using people. You used to be assistants, right? But that's why AI has minimized the cost, but increase the confusion now. So the real promise of an AI, I think we have to talk about this too. AI was intended not to add a chatbot to every single app. The real promise of AI was an intelligent system that understands your goals, your schedule, your projects, your communication, and helps you make better decisions across all of it. Otherwise, what's the point? You're just adding bullshit, right? You're just fancifying your documents, but it's not really getting the objective achieved. It's just making you look better doing it. Instead, we got AI features fighting for your attention, right? In every product, each one trying to be stickier to keep you around longer, and everyone keeping your data siloed so that way you can't lead. We had that developing Altura, right? Like Lovable, it's a great software, but they wanted us to use Lovable AI instead of using the database and system that was actually stronger and more powerful and capable of hosting all the tools we needed to. And so we were wasting money and time trying to develop using Lovable's AI when that was the only thing that they wanted to push on us. Because apparently AI knows best, right? But you're not controlling what actually goes on behind the scenes. So where are we at then with this? Like, what's the way out? What do you think is do you think these companies are ever going to integrate, or is this like the data silo too valuable to give up your information and let you leave?
You know, we've already seen a couple. The really only options are like mergers and acquisitions, where two companies that say offer a great product individually, but together could probably accomplish more for an entrepreneur.
Like Hulu and Disney Plus?
Yeah, something like that. Or I guess Warner Brothers bought Netflix. Is that what or Netflix?
Netflix bought Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so it's always an effort of like trying to produce more together than they could have otherwise separately. Or somebody just needs to. I'm kind of giving you a layup here, but somebody just needs to develop one that does all those same things, but is in one consolidated spot and is easier to understand for the aspiring entrepreneur.
And then obviously you get the problem too on the other side of saying, well, if I put all my ducks in one basket, or eggs in one basket, ducks in a row, using terms. If I put all my eggs in one basket, what if I get hacked? What if the company I'm giving my information to is using that against me? What if they're selling my data out? So you have those two problems there, right? And so instead of imagine like if instead of 15 tools with 15 separate AIs, you guys just had that one person, your go-to guy following you around who understood everything. That's when you said, I need to follow up with John on a note, right? It could automatically create a task. The AI could find John's email. It could check your calendar for availability to talk with John. It remembers the information about him from before, and then it drafts the follow-up email to send to him. So you can just say that and you have your shit taken care of. That's not science fiction. It used to be the future, and it used to be crazy, right? Like Jarvis from Iron Man, right? But now it's just integration of systems that are already powerful enough to do those things separate. That's just building tools that actually work together instead of just protecting their data moats and not letting OpenAI share your chat history, which they're still doing behind the scenes. I promise you that. But in this case, they're just they don't want to integrate and give Google, their chat history, so that way they can keep all your information to themselves, which is good, right? In some context of privacy, but when you need it to actually function, you'd like for sharing to be done as long as it's in a secure way. So how do you solve that problem? You have to have some sort of consolidation wave, like something that's going to be the next, I think, big money move in 2026. If you guys can find companies that are specializing in integrating AIs together, that's what's going to be the next unicorn, company. And I think I have a good idea of some examples. We're seeing the early sign. You did mention like kind of in other industries, mergers and acquisitions, right? But this is really where you're going to see businesses that are doing it right skyrocket, right? Because for once, one person could take down a Fortune 500 company because they have assistants that can work way faster and way more hours doing all the marketing jobs, the HR job. Well, it's not really HR, it's just the fundraising, the financial management, stuff like that. What the market actually needs right now, and what I actually double down on, is unified operating systems. That's going to be the term I think you're going to hear a lot of this year. Not productivity tools, not project management, not AI assistants, unified tools, operating systems, like single environments where your calendar, your tasks, your notes, your communications, your goals all live together and understand each other. And you guys probably think that's like a fantasy, right? It sounds kind of like too good to be true at the moment, right? But understand that the tools available to you today are not the tools you're going to be using in 2 to 3 years. Did you guys think you'd be using AI the way you are 4 years ago, right? I didn't. I kind of had an idea, but it wasn't the same as, opening like Grok now. The smartest move right now is to stay aware of the shift. Like, you guys, when you saw or heard of ChatGPT from day one, you probably had some sort of underlying feeling that that's going to be important as we move forward. That's all I'm asking you to do here. Be aware of the shift and then be ready to adopt systems, ideally earlier than anyone else, that consolidate your work instead of fragmenting it further. That's how you get what we call, business degree wise, a competitive advantage in a market. That gives you a leg up, and that's what you need to do. So do you think, like, I have two questions, I guess. I think I'll ask this one to you. For someone that's like just starting out, what would you tell them to kind of do right now about their like tool stack while they're waiting for this big shift and waiting for this breakthrough? What do you think they should start doing about all these subscriptions and tools that they have?
I would say spend some time decluttering first. I mean, a lot of things that we are paying to automate or paying to have access to. Like even personally, for example, I paid for ChatGPT Premium for a long time. Ended up canceling it. And I don't even pay for Grok anymore, but I feel like its basic model does pretty much the same thing I was getting with the Pro ChatGPT. So just do yourself a favor and like stop don't add to the problem that every entrepreneur, but person really has of saying they want to get closer to their goals and then spending 90% of their time in that moving in that direction, planning, or in this case, choosing, a better software that's going to be the thing that helps you.
Yep.
Spend your time actually doing like, and if it takes you longer, like, okay, like, oh, well, man, you know what I mean? Like you're already at such a higher advantage compared to the generation before us, as far as how quickly things can be done, what you have access to, resources that, maybe even just like your network, things like that. It's not going to kill you to try and just use your own brain to like discover things and put things together. And as much as you can handle that right now is probably better. Just like I said, not forever. Obviously, as you scale and it's going to become, there's should be, if you're doing it right, a lot of systems that are too much for you to handle by yourself. That's why, most companies end up taking seed funding, is because they need either an investor or somebody that's good at, it's already kind of up and made it in that certain industry, and they have skills to offer. So you kind of make a partnership to make it easier, lighter load on yourself. So obviously this isn't a permanent solution, but in this period where a lot of the things available to you could be a distraction, as code best for you to kind of use your concern internally. How could I maybe combine uses out of this one certain thing? Or how could I just do it myself if I really had to? And that's probably it's kind of counterintuitive to think like spending the extra time to do it yourself instead of automating it being more productive. But if you're spending all your time trying to figure out how to use a new tool like every week and researching them and finding them, then that's automatically time you otherwise could have spent just doing the thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, when you're starting out, it's literally just like it's a zero sum formula. You got like 5 hours, and you got to maximize.
So that would be my advice, just based on my experience personally. I tend to do tomorrow what I could have done today, and so I spend a lot of time like thinking that the tool itself is going to be what like bridges that gap for me. But if I just spend time today doing what I can do today instead of trying to figure that out, then I'd save time. Of course, obviously not permanently, but for the time being, when your resources are limited anyways, you're a new entrepreneur, it's probably for the best.
So, I mean, yeah, it's maximizing the one resource that we all can't control, which is really, I mean, we can control it, we just can't expand it, and that's our time, especially our available time. It's the most valuable resource somebody has. And if you can't clear your focus, then any time that you're working, you're really just wasting. And so you have to have clear work time, right? And the time that you're actually locked in, if there's any distraction, or if you get spread too thin trying to understand how something works because there's 20 AI tools added to it, that's going to seriously impact you when you're trying to get off the ground. It's actually more of a problem and a nuisance, as I think we've covered now. But but you got to deal with it. That's just the reality. This isn't, again, a topic that we just chose because it's interesting. This is literally, something that I've been impacted by. Anthony has brought up examples here too. And, this system, this theoretical idea of like this Jarvis style brain, right? That has your business understood, that has your goals understood, that helps you think like a second mind, and kind of like is like a Super Mario mushroom powering you up instead of kind of just wasting your time. That's real, and it's quite literally what we've been building. So that's why I can confidently speak of what is to come in this space. Altura and the platform I talked about is that. And rather than explain every single little thing, I invite you to check it out yourself. It's the answer. It's a unified business operating system for entrepreneurs that puts your AI, puts your calendar, your tasks, your notes, your goals all in one place. And we've built our own system. And it's hosted by an AI, Nova, that actually understands your full context. So unlike having 15 AIs, right, the 15 people around the board table in the room trying to figure Anthony out, piecing together little tidbits of information, Nova understands everything you're working on. It knows your tasks, it knows your schedule, it knows your notes. When you tell Nova something, it has the context to actually help you. Even better yet, you can tie in your existing systems. So you can integrate your Gmail. You can log in with your Microsoft Outlook calendar. You can sign in with Notion, right? All of these different major subscriptions you have, Nova can access them and then not only figure out what's going on and get context without you having to How many times, Anthony, have you had to screenshot some shit and then put it into AI just so it has the context of what you're talking about? You don't have to do that.
Pretty much anytime I'm developing Unlovable, all the time in chat.
Yeah, because it's just not worth your energy to have to type out or talk through every single little thing. You just be like, here's what I'm trying to do. But in this case, no more of that. We're one step ahead now. It can access your Gmail in a secure way and then see, oh, you got this email from John. I'm going to schedule 15 minutes to get on a call with him to really talk through the next steps for him since he is your client. And then you can say, that's a good idea. Let's throw it on. Or you can say, no, I don't want to do that. It gives you another executive assistant that's following you around without you having to pay thousands of dollars for an actual person. We're not trying to replace every single tool overnight. I don't want to be Google Drive. I don't want to be Gmail. But we've built our own version of that is 100% secure. Unlike, ChatGPT, which you don't know what they do with your data behind the scenes. You own your data. Everything is locked, it's encrypted inside of our vault, and you guys can export your data with a click inside of your settings. We're adding that feature for you guys so you can see, what we're collecting and what is truly yours. You can delete your data if you want as well. Everything for once this is a safe space where you don't have to worry about who the CEO of the company is, what his connections are to other groups of people, what are these insider trades that are going on, who is trying to manipulate me with my information. All of these things that I care about as a consumer. I know you do too, Anthony, but we just want to do things a better way, a way that we can actually feel like we're productive, we don't have the clutter, and we're safe. And if we can achieve those three things, I think any one of you guys would have a huge reason to sign up. And that's all going to be released on our app very, very soon. But the computer side, right, we're developing better and better stuff every single day with it. That's my ask, right? If this resonated with you, if you want freedom from systems that capture data and put you in a can and develop a profile card on you on how to exploit you with your data, if you're tired of losing your focus with 15 subscriptions in a juggle, if you want to see what a unified approach, a Jarvis Iron Man style centralized command ecosystem looks like, then just check out what we're building. You don't have to link all your Google accounts and stuff and pay for it. You can use our infrastructure. You can use the Altura Notes stuff. You can use the Altura Nova chat, I guess. You can use our live chat and meet other people using the same tools and network with them. And all your stuff is secure. But if you want to expand, the option is there. And we're building for people like you. Regardless, at the end of the day, if Altura is right or wrong for you, I just hope that what we've talked about here is at least open your eyes to this trap. You guys probably couldn't put words on it. I don't even think Anthony could or I could before. But now we know kind of how to categorize this problem. We've all been aware that we've been losing focus. We just didn't know it was because of our over expansion of attention. And again, how many other things too? I'm going to add with one more, I guess, question, before the final push. How many other things in your life now compared to 10 years ago are already pulling that attention away one last time?
Countless, dude. Compared to 10 years ago, I mean, heck, I was 14, 13, something like that.
We didn't have Instagram Reels or TikTok 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. That's the worst stuff is social media too, man. That's like the quickest killer of your time if you're trying to, build something great, memorable, and worth your time and money is social media, dude. But I mean, it's this, like I said, this problem has persisted since like people were trying to be productive, which is it's like in our nature, right? For most people, at least. AI, of course, like as a new technology, is just wrapping it in this new face, right? It's the same problem, which is you can't spend more time researching or thinking than you do actually doing. And unfortunately, like AI being the bubble we're in is providing a lot of opportunity for that to happen just in different means. So, but yeah, like Caleb said, I mean, we obviously saw that problem early on, which is why we've developed what we developed. And we're like finally to a point now in 2026, right? Where it's tangible. You can actually go and test it out. And I use it now. I've completely shifted over. Like I said, I don't pay for much anymore because I'm using what we've actually already built. We have shared note stuff in like in the notes section. If you're on the website, you know what I'm talking about. But where it's like similar to, it's like the combination of the best features of like your Apple Notes, which is just usually on your phone, really simple to use. Google Drive, Notion, things like that. Same, the most basic and important functionalities from all of those that I liked and that Caleb liked, we put into one. That's just one example of something. Obviously I use Nova for all things pertaining to how I run the marketing side of Altura. I don't really want to put that into Grok and things like that or chat because as we know, like they're constantly monitoring everything that you write. It all goes to a database. It's not like it's just one and done every time you type something. The owners of Grok, the owners of ChatGPT, the owners of Google Gemini know if they really wanted to look into you, not that they will. I mean, They code that was what I'm saying. And they know exactly what it is you're doing. They know exactly what it is you're asking me. They know what your goals are, what your outcomes are. And unfortunately, like there's clauses in their terms of use that say that if for some reason you create some unicorn of a project that does millions of dollars and you use a lot of your infrastructure, or I guess a lot of your infrastructure was based on things that one of these AI systems gave you, they can cause problems for you that way. I don't know exactly what they would do, sue or, ask for a cut of it. Maybe, I don't know. But all that to say,
Why take a risk? Why take a risk?
yeah, why take the risk, man? When it's like there's an option through what we built to get the same. It's almost like it's not like the AI or anything we built is like more rudimentary or worse than, but in a way, like it's the best part. It's like when AI originally came out and there was like minimal features and it was like really straightforward. I kind of relate it back to that. Not that ours is worse by any means. I'm just saying like the features that matter, the features that are not a distraction, but actually help you accomplish are like exactly what we've compiled from the best of the best other enterprise tools to develop the one we have developed so that it's strictly a tool that functions just as well, but is not going to offer any distraction for you. It's simply about accomplishing the things you set forth to accomplish and figuring out what it is you need to accomplish, even down to that level. That's you're probably like us and we're the ones developing. That's my 2 cents on that. It's why I take the risk, as Caleb said, and I mean it costs you nothing. Just come check it out. Like we for sure want as much feedback as we can possibly get. And at this stage too, like you'd be joining like at this early stage in development for us is like, you'd be joining a movement early on or a team early on that ends up being something that people, wish they would have gotten into early on like you did, but it'll be too late for them. And so it's a good opportunity to like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the possibilities are endless for how you and Caleb and I and the team could interact and come together to build something better out of what we built and better out of what you're building. And so that's my invite to you. It's like, view it not as like a sales pitch. View it as like, I'm as a fellow entrepreneur, as someone who's also young and trying to make it in this world and doesn't really see any option in just the rest of my life. I'm just doing my, and I do because it has.
Yeah, I think to me, it's more of a thing like what is like I wouldn't be sitting here talking on a podcast if these problems were important to me. And I care about who has access to my information. Information is the only thing that can really make or break some. If you want evidence of that, look how many politicians or celebrities or whatever seem to have like dirt on and are, held accountable at that. It seems like there's always something more going on behind the scenes. So why ever give someone information or let something loose or not be smart with the way you're doing your planning and your focused work, especially the most impactful work on your business you'll ever have. If it's not in a spot that you feel like you're actually comfortable, not only that, but a spot that can actually help you and not spread you thin. Altura is, at the end of the day, isn't just an AI tool. That's like our main function. It's our main value driver. But we're a community too. Like we have a live chat. We have a cryptocurrency because I believe that the community can actually drive its own value with, giving you guys funding for your companies. You guys could use it to fund your access to the platform. So you don't even have to pay monthly if you buy it early and you're just holding on to the token. You can use it to go to our live events. We're going to have like a TED Talk style conference thing. We're going to release an academy of videos similar to that. We're going to give out merchandise. There's going to be a bunch of things. This is a movement of people that are tired of being kind of subject to a few corporations telling you guys what you have to do with your data, what they're going to collect on you that you don't have a choice. You can't control what Meta is going to collect on you but most of you still want to use Instagram, right? And finally, for once, having a say in what the vision and future looks like of that. You guys get to use your tokens and your memberships to actually vote on key decisions for our platform. And I listen to that and we'll implement that and those changes for you guys. Everything is transparent and you own everything. For once, it's not a trap, it's freedom. And if I die on one hill, that's going to be it. Because once you guys see the trap and once you see the system and the problems with it, you can't unsee it. And that's really the first step to doing something free and building different. So with that said, thank you guys for tuning into the Ascended Podcast as always. If you got any value from this, please share it with another entrepreneur who needs to hear it. We're going to upload this video into our drive for our content clippers to clip. So if you guys want to go to the Altura Society website, I'm going to actually pull up the graphic right now on screen. You guys can see the website down below. It's in the corner down here. So just go there and go to our live chat, look for the content clipping chat, and it'll take you right into our private community for that. Otherwise, get a membership, start using Nova, connect your softwares, and start escaping the system you're finally tired of being subject to. We'll see you next time. And as always, I'm rooting for you. Anthony?
That's all I got too. Well said. appreciate you guys hopping on here to, even if it's the recording later in the time, just to support us. It means a lot to start building that network, even if it's not even on the platform, but just by, having people that consistently watch what it is we do. Invite you to take that next step and join us, man. Hop on the platform. It's free. That's all I got. Y'all take care.
See you next time.